On this episode of See Indonesia, we are setting sail to the Isle of Comfort and Luxury as we spend the night at Doulos Phos, the ship hotel. Explore the melting pot of cultures within Bintan's oldest Chinese settlement. And learn more about the island's many grand and majestic Chinese temples.
Come see the beauty, only on See Indonesia!
See Indonesia.
Ah, the sea. So fascinating, so wonderful, and oh so mysterious. For a small island such as Bintan, where most settlements sit close to the coastline, the sea becomes an invaluable ally that can give back as much as it takes away. And none bear its scars as proudly as those who have sailed its waters.
I'm now standing on a piece of maritime history. This is a ship that is over 100 years old. It has sailed to hundreds of countries over millions of nautical miles. And true to its name, it continues to this day to be a servant of the light. Ladies and gentlemen, sailors alike, this is the Doulos Phos.
Now this is a capital U unique experience. The Doulos Phos isn't just a hotel built in the shape of an ocean liner. She is, or rather she was, an ocean liner. The Doulos Phos, originally named the SS Medina, was built in 1914, a mere 2 years after the Titanic. She has sailed under 4 different flags for a total of 95 years in service, holding the title of the world's oldest active ocean-going passenger ship, until she was finally decommissioned in 2009 and remade into Doulos Phos, the ship hotel. And I gotta tell you, they certainly pulled out all the stops when building not just the hotel itself, but even the surrounding pier. You can't really see it from ground level, but if you look from above, you'll see the entire artificial islet that the hotel is sitting on is built in the shape of a giant anchor. It's an incredible amount of care and effort for something very few will notice, which honestly makes me appreciate it so much more. But of course, it's still a hotel, and you're probably wondering what the rooms actually look like. Well then, sailor, come aboard and I'll show you my cabin.
And so this is the executive suite of the Doulos Phos ship hotel. Now this fits the entire family. You've got the king-size bed here, and of course through the connecting room you have an additional 2 more single beds. But of course the best thing about being in this ship hotel is how authentic it is to the actual history of the ship itself, because of course the history is so rich and they want to preserve that. One of the biggest things you'll notice, and the first things you'll notice when you enter the room, is how the floors are ever so slightly uneven, and that's true to how the ships were made, because most ships are made in such a way so that it allows water to drain more easily. And to better illustrate this, I'll showcase it with this water bottle, and if you place it down on the floor, it does roll onto the ends of the floor like so. But fear not, because all the furniture has been adjusted so as to compensate that slight unevenness. So all the tables, all the sofas, the beds, they're all adjusted so that they're not uneven. But of course that lends the authenticity, because even going through like the windows here, like it all maintains that same ship aesthetic. It seems very worn and weathered from years and years of service out on the sea. And if you look through the windows at just the right angle, it seems like you yourself are right at sea right now. And that's just the magic of it all, right?
The Doulos Phos provides 7 different accommodation options, and every single one of them, from the deluxe all the way up to the master mariner suite, comes with free transportation to and from the nearby Bandar Bintan Telani ferry terminal, as well as a 30-minute guided heritage tour. Which, if you're like me and you're eager to explore every nook and cranny of the ship, I recommend you join.
Halo Mas, saya Alvin. Welcome to Doulos Phos. Jadi kita mau heritage tour tadi ya. Jadi pertama saya mungkin jelasin di bagian sini. So this is our engine room. This is the heart of the ship. Sebelumnya Doulos Phos ini adalah kapal original Mas. Jadi memang ini original, built in 1914. Nah di 1914 itu 2 years younger than kapal Titanic. Jadi memang ini kalau Mas pernah nonton Titanic, pokoknya mirip-mirip lah seperti itu.
The heritage tour will take you through the places on the ship that aren't usually open to guests, such as the engine room that showcases the retrofitted Fiat diesel engine installed in 1971 to replace the original steam-powered engine. The engine room is obviously no longer operational, but the Doulos Phos Hotel has installed speakers that mimic the sounds of the engine as if it were still running. A wall near the starboard exit of the engine room is adorned by numerous flags that were attributed to the various watchkeepers who held the post over the years. A watchkeeper in a ship's engine room is assigned to ensure the ship's machinery continue to operate safely.
Di sini ada beberapa buku yang masih kita keep. Jadi ini buku waktu kapal ini dinamakan Doulos, MV Doulos pada tahun 1977 sampai 2000-an. Nah ini buku-buku yang masih kita keep nih sampai sekarang. Jadi memang buku waktu pada zaman Doulos itu dia berlayar ke seluruh negara, memang sebenarnya untuk charity.
I see.
Memang kru-kru di sini itu memang bekerja di sini secara sukarela.
The Doulos Phos' sailing days may be behind her, but she's never too far from the sea. And when that beautiful blue horizon calls, you gotta answer. So, later in the day, I made my way to the pool bar that offered not only stunning views of the Singapore Strait, but also some refreshing drinks.
It feels like I'm in an episode of Succession and I'm about to do some shady business deals with my dad. But yeah, no, this is something else, you know? Something really romantic to it too. Feels almost vintage, feels very, just can't help but romanticize it. You're on a ship, you're looking nice, sipping wine, in this case mocktails, nothing like it.
The view from the pool bar was incredible, and I gotta say, I was very tempted to take a dip in the pool. But I had to resist the urge, because tonight I've got a date, and I gotta look dashing.
And what a way to end the night, but with a romantic and fancy dinner here at the Aristafel here at Doulos Phos. And to make the dinner less awkward, we hired an actor to stand in here as my date. I'm just kidding. That this is actually my actual real life fiance, Winona. Winona, say hi to the camera.
Hello.
So we're going to have an actual dinner here, just the two of us. Eventually being joined by the crew. But for now, just the two of us. Cheers.
Our dinner at Arisetafel was served by the hotel staff, who were decked out in the ship crew uniform, continuing the nautical aesthetic of the entire hotel. Like I said, there's just something inherently romantic about life at sea, charting a course to the unknown. Thankfully for us, there won't be any icebergs to ruin our night.
See the beauty only on See Indonesia. See the beauty only on See Indonesia.
Bintan Island stands unique among all other regions in Indonesia, as a region with a strong ethnic Chinese presence that remains to this day. Much of the economy in Bintan is driven by Chinese Indonesian entrepreneurs, and Chinese temples are scattered all throughout the island. The strong presence of Chinese culture isn't something new. Rather, it was something that was ever present. And it all started right here.
What you're seeing now is the village of Senggarang, a place that is considered one of the oldest Chinese settlements in Indonesia. Definitely one of the oldest here in Tanjung Pinang. Now this place was established all the way back in the 18th century, and as you can see, it's built right on top of the water. Why so? Well, it's because most of the settlements that came here in search of spices, such as the building right behind me. There is a relic of a building where they used to process those spices itself. There's lots of history to delve into in this very historic village.
Senggarang Village, as we know it today, began as a small settlement in around 1772. Most of the first settlers were Teochew people, who were natives of the historical Chaoshan region in northern China. The settlers came here in search of the region's abundant spices, mainly pepper and gambir, the latter of which was used as a tanning agent and food additive. The Teochew people's native dialect continues to be passed down from generation to generation, and now it has become the common language for locals in Senggarang, regardless of whether they themselves are Teochew or not. It's a unique community to say the least, so I couldn't wait to get to know them more.
Siapa? Alright, so we're now heading to this very special coffee shop here in Senggarang, which is one of the oldest ones here, currently still serving, and it's been here for around 4 generations. So we're going to see here, we're going to meet a local, Bu Dede, and she's going to tell us all about it, about its history, and most importantly, about how the coffee is made.
Halo, Mbak. Ya.
Halo, selamat pagi Bu.
Pagi.
Gimana kabarnya, Bu?
Alhamdulillah.
Bu Dede is a Senggarang native, born and raised, and as such, she's completely fluent in Teochew. She told me that this coffee shop had been around since she was a kid, and that it was originally named Ambarawa Coffee Shop back when it first opened in the 70s. The current owners are a couple, Mr. Oti and Mrs. Mary. They are now the 4th generation owners of this establishment.
Bu Mary dan Pak Oti sudah berapa lama mengelola kedai kopi Ambarawa?
I check me along.
Sekitar 6-7 tahun.
Sebelum ibu bapak siapa?
Sebelum Nenang Didiang,
Orang sudah
selesai kan? Selesai. Generasi sebelum mereka nih dengan ya, Pak Nang tadi dengan istrinya Bu Soy Soy.
Bu Mary explained to us that the children of the previous owners, namely Bu Soy Soy, all left Senggarang for work, and so Bu Soy Soy entrusted the shop to Pak Oti.
Apakah Pak Oti dan Bu Mary harus belajar dulu cara bikin kopinya?
Sebelum Soy Soy kena yang lain Jawa, neng ada Kang Bo kopi.
Bisa yang sih atau kopi kan
Iya, kebetulan Pak Oti ini sebelum dia megang yang usaha yang ini, yang dipercaya sama Bu Soy Soy, dia dulu kerja juga di kedai kopi sebagai ini pembuat kopi. Makanya ada kepercayaan dari Bu Soy Soy diserahkan ke dia.
Kedai kopi beda?
Kedai kopinya beda dulu Kak. Tahu dia Cokang ha? Oh di Pinang, di Tanjung Pinang dulu kerjanya.
Bu Mary told me that the coffee they brew here is special, as they don't just use any regular old store-bought instant coffee, but a special batch that's made in Kijang, a town on the east of Bintan. After getting my fresh cup of joe, I sat down with Bu Dede as well as several other local patrons. It's in places like these where you get to see not only the diversity in a place like Senggarang, but also how tolerant and respectful the community are. Regardless of race, they live side by side as equals, creating a unique tapestry of cultures. After our quick break, we continued with our historic Senggarang tour. Our next stop was the former residence of Lieutenant Tan So Ki, who served from 1916 to 1942 as North Bintan's Kapitan Cina. A Kapitan Cina was a high-ranking government officer in the colonial era. Those who held this position had local jurisdiction over their Chinese community. This place used to house the lieutenant's whole family. At one point, the house had 20 rooms and 5 kitchens. And even though its golden days are behind it, it's still a valuable piece of history. Aside from Lieutenant Tan So Ki, many others before him also served as Kapitan Cina in Senggarang. One of whom was Chow Chen, who served as captain in the early 19th century. Same like Lieutenant Tan So Ki, he too had a large residence in Senggarang. But now, all that's left of it is this: the Tian Shan Miao Temple, or more popularly known as the Banyan Tree Temple. Owing to its overgrown appearance, the temple evokes the feeling of an ancient ruin, with the roots of the banyan tree wrapping itself around the entirety of the building, becoming almost a single entity with the temple. The Tian Shan Miao Temple is one of the oldest temples on the island, built in 1811. It was originally served as a private temple for Captain Chow Chen and his family. But today, it's rarely used due to its small size. The influence of the first Chinese settlers in the Riau Islands is strong, and it seems even stronger here in Bintan, where they first put down their roots. These temples are proof of that, and I'm going to take a closer look at even more of them next. From the first temple to be built in Bintan, to a temple with one of the tallest statues in Southeast Asia. You won't want to miss this.
See the beauty only on See Indonesia. See the beauty only on See Indonesia.
Previously, we saw the remnants of an old Chinese temple built in the early 19th century, now fused with the roots of an old banyan tree. But believe it or not, this temple isn't even the oldest one here in the village.
So we know that here in the Riau archipelagos, and especially in Bintan and Tanjung Pinang, it's rife with Chinese influence. Now, the Chinese, they actually came here more than 300 years ago. And when they settled in Senggarang first. And one of the first few buildings that they built when they first settled here are the buildings behind me, the Sun Tekong temples. And these were established more than 300 years ago. And even now, they're still being used for worship and also especially for big Chinese holidays and Chinese celebrations. And there's a lot of history in it. So let's go check it out.
The Sun Tekong temples, also commonly referred to as the Dharma Sasana temples, are made up of 4 separate buildings. The building way in the back, the Dharma Sasana temple, is the most recent addition, built in the 1980s. Meanwhile, the oldest buildings are the 3 front-facing ones. From left to right, they are the Fu De Zheng Shen Temple, the Tian Ho Sheng Mu Temple, and the Yuan Tian Shang Di Temple. The Tian Ho Sheng Mu Temple in the middle, which is the largest of the 3, is dedicated to the goddess protector of the sea. And as people who live so close to the sea and make their living from it, you can understand the significance that this temple held for the Senggarang people. These temples were also built around the time of the Johor Sultanate, which eventually became the Riau Lingga Sultanate, whose seat of power was located on the island of Penyengat, located right across where the temples are facing. Even from the temples, you're able to see Penyengat Island's iconic bright yellow Grand Mosque, which itself is a remnant of the Sultanate. It is said that the Sun Tekong temples were purposefully built to face the mosque as a show of respect for the ruling family at the time. Over the years, the Chinese Indonesian inhabitants of Bintan continued to build more temples, some even grander than those that came before it. One of these temples can be found north of Tanjung Pinang. This massive complex is the Avalokitesvara Temple, and in terms of sheer size, this temple is second to none, considered one of the largest in Southeast Asia. But as all things, it's what's on the inside that counts.
So we are here at the Avalokitesvara Temple in Tanjung Pinang, and this place is enormous. The area itself spans around 10 hectares and is filled with very intricate and very beautiful statues. And they all revolve around the goddess Guan Shi Yin, such as the statues beside me here. They are all different manifestations and different forms of the same goddess. But these statues pale in comparison in terms of their size to the actual main statue of the goddess Guan Shi Yin, which is the one right behind me.
This 40-ton, 16.8-meter tall gold-coated statue of the goddess Guan Shi Yin is the centerpiece of the temple. The goddess Guan Shi Yin, sometimes referred to simply as Guan Yin, is considered to be the goddess of mercy and the physical embodiment of compassion. The name Guan Shi Yin means the one who perceives the sounds of the world. Guan Yin is actually a translation from the Sanskrit Avalokitesvara, hence the name of the temple. The atmosphere of the temple can only be described as peaceful and serene. When we visited, the temple was nearly empty, and all we had was the breeze and a calming melody playing through the speakers, which echoed throughout the temple. The Avalokitesvara Temple is open every day from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And if you want to have some time to bask in quiet serenity, then you might want to put this one in your bucket list. And with that, we end our little excursion into this unique little island. From the mighty Doulos Phos and the incredible community of Sarang Village to the grand old temples and even grander newer ones. All of our destinations today were connected by the sea. As mysterious and scary as it is, the sea is what connects us and allows for such unique worlds to collide, intermingle, and leave their marks on each other. And just like the sea, Bintan's true treasures are found when you dive a little deeper.